Welcome to another edition of All Octaves with me, Val Kleinhans. Bad Hats are in the building. Kerry is here. They're an indie rock band from Minneapolis. You guys are huge in Rochester, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you here. I'm so excited for this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm stoked. I wanted to read a little bit from your website because this
Okay.
gave me some good insight. It says
Okay.
Carrie Alexander and Chris Holt met in college. They formed the band in 2012. In the 10 years of Bad Hats, they have toured the country several times in their trusty minivans, sampling the best local cuisine along the way. So, I need to know,
Yeah.
does the minivan have a name?
It does actually. The minivan is called Little Fat Dad.
Little Fat? Okay, what's the story behind that one?
So basically the original license plate we got for the van had LFD in it.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and that was just the first thing that came to our minds when we saw the initials LFD, our little fat dad. And the dad has been good to us over these touring years. He's still going strong.
He's still running?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And
Yes.
what is the best local food that you've sampled since you've been out?
It's hard to pin it down, really. We eat so much good food and so much good like variety of foods. Like I was just talking actually about how we do like to sample like the sort of like the like namesake foods,
Hmm.
like the your Philly cheesesteaks and like your like Detroit pizzas and
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of thing. So we love sampling that. We were just in Des Moines, and I did reveal that I have not sampled their thing, which is a pork tenderloin sandwich, a fried pork tenderloin sandwich.
Okay. I didn't know they had a thing,
I
to
know.
be honest.
See, but actually, the first thing that comes to mind is there's a place in Salt Lake City, Utah, called
Mm.
Red Iguana, that has like the best like Mexican food I've ever had. Um, I always get the enchiladas, and they're
Mm.
just so good, so
That
good.
sounds tasty. Every
Yeah,
time, every time I'm back in Minnesota, I need poutine or cheese curds.
yeah, for
Or
sure.
Wisconsin or cheese
Yes.
curds. Or back in Pittsburgh, I need like that New York style pizza. Because I'm originally from
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. So I
From
like I
Pittsburgh,
need.
I was about to say the Pittsburgh. Do you subscribe to the Primanti Brothers sandwich?
Oh, yes. Okay. So you know exactly what we're talking about here. And the world, for anybody that doesn't know Permanis, this conglomeration of fries and coleslaw that is built within the sandwich.
Yes,
Everything is in the sandwich, and it's a unique taste. I don't
it is.
not to not to talk about my hometown, but I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of good. Has so many good food options. There's a wide variety of just different ethnicity
Yes.
examples
Hmm.
to try. And here in Minnesota, like I was getting things that I never experienced before either. I know it
Yeah.
sounds so dumb to anybody listening, but I really truly never had cheese curds or like poutine
Yeah,
before
for
coming
sure.
here.
I don't know that I had either, actually. Now that you mention
So I was just completely all for it. And I love
it.
doing that whenever I travel somewhere new too to soak something up because it's part of the culture. Like I get
Yes,
it.
totally. Like it's a thing like like bands have their like rider where they can ask for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
snacks and food and stuff. But we generally try to just not do that and instead just get like a cash payout.
Oh,
So that
okay.
we can go and explore the restaurants like in the area.
Oh,
'Cause that's
okay. So you
nice.
get to choose. Did that happen
Sometimes,
on the
sometimes.
Michelle Branch tour?
Yes, yes, yes. We did. We got our cash buyout. So I've been working on a food blog very slowly. But that's why it's called the buyout
Okay.
dot rocks, because the buyout is when you get your cash instead of like the chips and salsa and stuff that most bands would might ask for.
Okay, got it. I was so jealous when I saw that you did tour with Michelle Branch. I don't know if anybody caught that, but I was like,
Uh,
I like everybody for years has told me this woman is your doppelganger, and I grew up with her. I think we're close in age, so I know you grew up with her. I saw the pictures of your
yeah. Oh
little.
yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
yeah, it's so good. The whole experience. How was it for you?
Amazing. I mean, like I was just talking about with some friends of mine. Um like just like many layers of being a great experience, because just like even if I had never heard of Michelle Branch, like the tour itself was super fun, like very well organized, like great fans coming out every night, um amazing venues to play in, and Michelle and her band are just like so great and so nice, so all that alone would have made for an amazing tour. But then yes, also the added layer of being like that near to my like childhood hero was special for sure.
T Oh, I can't even imagine. The moment that you first saw her, that you first met her, what was that like? Did you even really get to interact with her a whole lot?
I did, because she's just like so nice and great. Um, but yeah, the first show we did a tour with her in like September, October maybe of 2022. We did like some East Coast dates. And so the first show we played was Boston. Um, and I was like so nervous because what do you say? Like what do you look like? Like how
Yeah.
do you be like yourself? But like right away, she's just like, "Oh, like hey everyone," and, like comes out off the stage and is like, "Great to meet you, I'm Michelle." And you're just like, "Yeah, you're Michelle."
We
Like,
know.
wow,
We
yeah, wow, you are Michelle. That's wild. But yeah, just from the beginning, just made us feel like very welcome and at home, and we had everything that we needed, and so it was great. And like that's kind of the fun thing, like. I mean, like I will always hold Michelle in high regard, because of my like past with her, but also because I just really admire her as like a songwriter and a artist, and
Absolutely.
someone in the industry. But it is cool to sort of be in a point in your career where you're like, oh, like I'm here, and like this is like my coworker Michelle, and like that's cool.
Right.
Just be like humans together in the same industry, and be able to have those conversations and just sort of like relate on that level. It's cool.
Yeah, and how humble of her to be like, "Hi, I'm Michelle." It's like, "We know. We get it. We" like, as if you had to tell us, but she still does. Like
Yes. It's good to introduce yourself, you know?
Generally, yes, but,
Yeah.
of all people, really? Do you have to?
Yes,
But she did. So,
she did.
you and Chris, you play different instruments, sometimes you play the
Yeah.
same instrument. Tell me how you fell in love with your respective instruments.
Yeah, I guess so when I was young, I like took like violin lessons, piano lessons, mostly because my mom told me I had to. And that was fine. Like I liked it okay. Um, but like at some point you start, getting into music and getting into um, like bands that are not playing violin. And I think now there are like maybe some more examples of like cool violinists that people would look up to. But at the time I was like, no one I know who I think is cool is playing violin, but everyone I know who I think is cool is playing guitar. So I really wanted to switch to guitar. And also at the same time, I think because of people like Michelle Branch who were like big when I was young, like Michelle Branch, Alanis Morissette,
Mm,
like Vanessa Carlton, like I felt like there was like
icons.
a yeah, there was like this great contingency of artists who were making it known that they were also writing their songs.
Mm,
Um like I was very interested in writing songs, so I think I actually started writing songs before I knew how to play guitar. I was
oh,
just like write lyrics and like sing to myself. Um, and then the guitar felt like the natural instrument to sort of like accompany that. And I think Chris is like pretty similar. He started with guitar after like trombone and saxophone.
mm,
Um, but like similarly, just like loved Green Day and Weezer and Death Cab for Cutie, and I think he got like the exact guitar that Chris Walla from Death Cab for Cutie played because he just like wanted to be exactly like Chris Walla.
eh,
Um, so like I think that's great. That's like how most like there's such a thing now, and for good reason, but like especially like on the in like social media of like sort of like pointing out like influences or like similarities like
mm,
in songs and stuff. But we all, I think most of us learn how to play our instruments by like copying. like artists we really enjoy and really love. And I think there's something like beautiful about that, as long as you're not like, like stealing from people. But like I think there's something sort of precious about how like learning from covers and learning from like people you really admire and then developing your own sound like from that. So yeah, that's
Got
kind
it.
of how we began.
Okay, well, so I know you met in college. Take me back to the moment where you decided, let's do Bad Bad Hats and let's like take this seriously. Let's go forward with the band.
Yeah, we were writing songs like respectively, like in our own way.
Mhm.
And we had like mutual friends in college. Um, but I like wrote a duet that I wanted someone to sing on. And my friend who was friends with Chris was like, Chris will do it. Like he's nice. I was like,
No.
well, okay. So I asked him, and then like that sort of was the beginning of us like getting to know each other and sort of like looking into each other's music. And we both had music on myspace.com because the year was 2009.
Yes, it was.
Um and so we just, well, first of all, we like fell in love and like started dating. And we started sharing like mix CDs with each other and like
That's how it
sharing song.
starts.
It always starts that
That's
way.
all
I
always the damn mixtapes. I married that
Yeah.
guy too. I did.
Yes. So it's like we're sharing our influences and sort of like inspiring each other with our music loves. And that was when we studied abroad our junior year at like different semesters. So we were like apart that whole year, but staying in touch via these mix CDs. And so then it was like our senior year, we're like, okay, like we're doing this, we're starting a band, like we're making it happen. And I think we knew we wanted to do that and we were working on like demos and stuff, but the real catalyst was our friend Noah. Um, just like what came up to us one day in the campus center and was like, guess what, you guys, like I bought a bass guitar today. And Chris and I are like, we're like, hey,
Yeah.
what are you doing every Monday and Wednesday for the next like 6 years? So I think honestly, I think like Noah just like happenstance being like, oh, I just bought a bass on a whim was kind of like what we needed to be like, well, this guy seems down to play, and like now we can like play shows and kind of like make it real. So yeah.
Do you find that you're still teaching each other things musically as you like experiment and maybe play on your own?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. Yes. Like I think it is funny because like often um we moved into our house in 2019 from our like very small apartment in Minneapolis. Um and now we have like multiple levels, which is like such a luxury. Um but kind of our vibe is like we have there are different areas of the house where like Chris has like a basement studio space
Oh, cool.
where he works on stuff and we work on stuff together. But my place where I like to write is just on my couch in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Um so we'll like after dinner we'll like go to our respective spaces. But like Chris will like come up to get like a snack or something and I'll be like playing guitar on the couch. And whenever he's like, peeks out from behind the cabinet is like, hey, what are you playing over there? Like I know I've got something good.
Okay.
Um and then I'll go check on him and he's like, what are you working on? It's like, oh, well, look at this, Chris. Like, this is great. He just like was working on like a drum loop the other day. That inspired me to come back up here and write a song to that drum loop. So yeah, it's nice to sort of have that parallel play.
Yeah. It's easy to play off each other and then you can have that conversation like in real time about, do we want to explore this? Do we want to throw that out? Do we want to tweak this? Then half the experimenting is done just right there.
Yes,
Sounds
totally.
really convenient.
It is nice. Yeah, it is nice to be all in the family.
So the 10th anniversary of It Hurts hit this past year
Yes.
too, and you did a lot of cool things to commemorate that. Why was it important to you to go all out and blow up the celebration of that?
I think like for me, well, first of all, the main thing is It Hurts had never actually been printed in a physical form.
Oh,
Um, we had never made CDs, we never made vinyl when it first came out. It was only a digital offering. So for a decade, people have been asking us if there's a physical copy of It Hurts they can buy, and every year we say, no, there's not. And think about all the money we lost by not having it. But That's fine. So that was the first thing. I was like, I'm so excited to be able to give the fans a physical copy of it for the first time ever. But then also just like it hurts is like it was our very beginning, our first release, and like I think about those early days, like working on it. We are living in my English professor's like apartment while she was like on sabbatical. Um
Oh,
and which was great. And we just like were working on songs and like the little office where there was like a bird's nest outside and um we had like just graduated and we're like living together for the first time and sort of like starting our young adulthood and just like at that point like this like the dream was like so big. Like now that we're like years into it, it's like we have certain goals of like, oh, that would be great to achieve like this specific goal. But then you're like, what could happen like with
mm,
this music? Like anything can happen. And that's just like such a special time to be like so excited and so like the world is your oyster.
yeah.
Um so it was nice to sort of like look back and be nostalgic for that like precious beginning time. But also those songs still are some of our fans like very favorite songs. And like when we play shows, Super America is often the song that people haven't heard us before. That's the one they ask us about. Like, what was that song you said was about the gas station?
The,
So it's also like amazing to me that those songs are hanging on and still, resonating with people all
yeah.
this
So
time later.
why not celebrate if it still
Yeah.
resonates?
Yeah.
I get it. And you made an interesting point. Like I forget that we are reaching a time where physical releases are becoming more and more rare. And
Yeah.
like me growing up with CDs, I'm like I
Yeah.
miss them. I
Yeah.
definitely totally miss them. And we're just it's such a completely different climate. So what are your thoughts just in general on that transition and streaming and the way we're using it now?
Yeah. I mean, I too like was a child of the CD and
Yeah.
I still have my CD binder, which like meant everything to me, like my
Yes.
CD collection.
Yes.
So I like every holiday I would just ask for CDs. That's like all I wanted. Um, so I do kind of mourn the loss of like physical like collections, even though
Mm,
I know some people still do that, but I personally like loved my stack of CDs and my records and even though like in a digital way, like I was obsessed with my iTunes library, like buying my songs on the iTunes store and like ripping my CDs to my iTunes library. I had it all like
mhm.
organized and I would like go on Google to make sure I had like the correct artwork for everything that was like weirdly put in there. I was like very meticulous and like obsessed with it. So I do kind of miss that, but certainly, I do think that like it's great to see young people are really into buying vinyl, which is super cool. And it's great because like the art's really big and like it feels we can autograph it, and so I think people see the value in that. But it's also true that so many people discover us on streaming, and we people tell
Mhm.
us all the time that we show up on, um, like like similar artists or like their discoverer, just like randomly. That's how Michelle Branch found us, actually. Um, so we know there's something to that, but I'll always have my heart will always be in, physical media.
Yeah, there's something nostalgic about it. I miss it too, but I've adapted, but I definitely mourn the loss like you're talking about
Yeah.
too. So how much of a role does social media play into what you guys do? Because is that I think you said maybe that's how Michelle found you, or did she find you on
Y-
Spotify or
Yeah, I guess she didn't say specifically. She just said she heard one of our songs somewhere
okay.
and enjoyed it, which is so cool. Um, but yeah, social media, I mean, is like so helpful in many ways, like just to connect with people and um sort of show our personality and
Yeah.
um, just sort of have like an easy way to sort of keep up with people. But it's also like stressful. I know lots of bands feel this. It's just like you just see like every other band right alongside you, and it's like, oh, what are they doing? Should I be doing that? Like, what are they doing? Is
Oh,
that what I'm supposed to be doing? Or like, am I not doing enough? Am I doing too much? Like, there's just so much information and like, um, I don't know. So like, I sometimes I feel guilty, like I'm not, I like should be using it like more. But sometimes I think like following my instinct is maybe the best because that's like most authentic to
yeah.
ourselves and just like sort of like how we want to use it and like how we actually want to like portray ourselves and connect. And so I think it's good. I think we have like a pretty good balance. Like, I don't know, like it's impossible to know what the right way to use it is, but I think in most things in the music industry there is no one path for bands. And I think
Mhm.
it's mostly just about like doing what feels right to you and what you have time for and what feels like fun.
Yeah, because I think it might be easy to just get. I mean, I'm not a musician, but I would imagine, like with podcasting anyway, sometimes you get more. There's more time spent on the social media promotion than there is the actual product, and then you have to
Exactly.
sit, and then you have to sit back and go, I don't know about that. Like, this is
Yes.
not like if I'm not focusing on the whole reason that this is public to begin with,
Exactly.
what kind of product, for lack of a better word, am I putting out there?
Yes, I like that's exactly how I feel about. Like it's just like I worry that all of us are like feeling like we need to be doing a certain thing on social media and are thus not doing the thing that we should be doing, which is like making great music for the people.
Hmm.
And that like that kind of like bums me out to think that like we all feel like, we have to sort of, yeah, like be putting in time to that. But I hope, but I also think some people like seem to really enjoy it. Like I have
Yeah.
friends who like make funny videos and like, seem to be having like a good time doing it. So like that's fine too. Like to each their own. But I that's how I feel. Like I'm like I don't want to spend 3 hours trying to come up with like a video post when I could like
Yeah,
write a song.
I got it.
Yeah.
Totally understand. What does still keep you going now over 10 years later?
Um, I think just like I just like love writing songs and I don't think I will like ever stop writing them. It's just fun. That's like how I like I said, like I just sit on my couch and watch TV and like while the TV is going, I just like strum my guitar and that's like how I like chill out and spend time. And I just listened to like a Jeff Tweedy interview where I feel like he really vocalized something that I've always felt, which is he was saying like whatever song he's working on is his like favorite song he's ever written.
Mm,
Um and like that's what he says he thinks has kept him going. And I really relate to that because I'm always like obsessed with like the current thing I'm working on. I'm always like, oh yeah, you did it this time, Kerry. Even if like a year from now I was like, nah, actually that wasn't your best. But you kind of need like a little bit of that like delusion to like keep you chugging along. Because if you're too self-conscious, like you'll never finish the songs. And
mhm.
it can be scary because if you have that delusion, then like I said, like a year later, you're like, what was I thinking? That was not a good song. But I think like that is what kind of keeps the wheels turn, you know?
Yeah, I'm always afraid of having to keep myself in check and having the ego get too big. If you get a little bit too
Right.
delulu,
Yeah. Yeah.
delulu is not the solulu in that situation at all. I'm like,
Yeah.
we got to keep the level of delulu like in a
Yes.
reasonable range here.
Yes.
Like,
It is a game, a fine line.
so what's next for you? What's next for Bad Bad Hats? What can we look forward to?
There is so much to look forward to. We have a new album coming out in the spring, our fourth album, and with that, lots of touring and playing lots of shows. Um, but we've also started working on songs for our fifth record and starting to brainstorm ways to celebrate 10 years of our first full-length psychic reader.
Ooh,
So I got all kinds of ideas stewing. But the first great thing is, yeah, new album coming soon.
that's great news. I can't wait for it all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for your time, Carrie.
Appreciate it, Val.